spread. This is Sue, the Soggy Stamper. It's a Friday afternoon, and I'm delighted to show you this technique that I have learned. Actually, there's a couple tricks I'm going to be showing you. This is the card we are going to be making, but first I'm going to show you the technique to make this beautiful background. So I'm going to set the card aside. Now originally I was trying to find a technique to make this card using this die, and I wanted to have it be fall colors, and I was thinking I could do a baby wipe technique and stamp the colors, except that there is no stamp for this. It's a die. So I started experimenting. First I poured re-inker on this page protector. See, I cut it open along those two sides, and this is what I use for the technique. First, I used re-inker on it, and the colors are so dark, and they weren't very even along parts of it, that you couldn't really see the embossing from the embossing folder. So I thought, okay, I tried it a couple of times. Still didn't really like. I mean, they're nice, but they're really bright and not quite what I was wanting. So then I tried, I'm not quite sure what I did with this one, but I did I tried that with this one with water, and the dots didn't blend as much. So then I tried it again. This one was with water, and I think I just used markers on it. At any rate, it was way too dilute for it, too light, so that was a no-go. And then this one is what I kind of ended up with, using Stampin' Blends and alcohol. I think I tried to do that with this one, but I was using rubbing alcohol, not the 91% alcohol. So this one was Stampin' Blends and 91% alcohol. And that would have worked on the card, but it was really kind of light. I wanted a stronger fall coloring. This is pretty. I can use it in the summer. So I thought, what if I started with Mango Melody cardstock? And this is what it came out like, and I really like it. It's dark enough that it's more fall colors, and yet you can see the embossing from the embossing folder. So that was this card. Then I had left over from that, I had a sheet left over because we're going to use two. When we're doing it, we might as well make it 2 for 1. So I have two of the Mango Melody. These are 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have my page protector that I have opened out so that I can put something in it. And I'm going to use dark cherry cobbler. I'm going to use dark old olive, dark poppy parade, dark mossy meadow, and dark Cajun craze. Okay, so all you do is you start making circles, or some other, you could make squares, I suppose, if you wanted to, or you could squiggle it like this. At any rate, I was making circles. And then I use the Poppy Parade. I tried a variety of colors and ended up liking this better. No, this is the Cajun Craze. No, this is Poppy Parade. Oh, this was Cajun Craze. Sorry. Trying to make an area big enough to cover the cardstock that I'm going to put down. A bit of the cherry cobbler to get that deep red that some of the leaves are. Okay, the thing is, if you don't use 91% alcohol or more, or higher, you're going to end up with your alcohol markers coloring the plastic and not moving. Okay, this is the Old Olive, and I'm going to move it in amongst my circles. You don't have to be precise about this. And Mossy Meadow. And you notice how in this one down here, it's not sticking to the plastic completely, but that's perfectly all right because the alcohol is going to make it move anyway. So now I've got 99% alcohol, and I got this at a farm supply place in the veterinary products. Sometimes you can get it at a pharmacy. I couldn't find it in town anywhere except for this one veterinary farmer's supply. So you spritz it. And then you fold it over and you start to smoosh it. Move it around into patterns that you like. And open it up. And you put the cardstock in on it. Close it back up. And there you have it. Now I think I'm going to have a little more green, a little bit darker color. So the nice thing about it is you can spritz some of the spots. I do not recommend trying to color more on this while there's still alcohol, wet alcohol with your blend, because it tends to leach the color out of your alcohol, out of your blend. So I'm just going to kind of pat some of these areas onto the thing like that to give a little more depth of color. That's it. There. I think that looks pretty good. So then to clean it up, you just take a paper towel, which I had one laying around here. I think maybe I threw it out. Like I say, it's got to be 91% alcohol or greater. The 70% alcohol just does not move the ink around. And you can just wipe it clean. And it'll be ready to use again the next time. Running water over it might work. And you can't get the center here done, but that's okay. So anyway, you can clean it up to your hearts till it's all nice and clean. We'll set that aside. And I am going to get rid of that one. So this is the cardstock we're going to use. Now to make the card. I have 5.5 by 8.5 evening evergreen for the card base. Now here's a bone folder. And I'm going to layer this right on top of that. Oh, come on. Well, come on. There. I love the contrast with this evening evergreen. Okay. And I pre-cut these pieces of grass using the Harvest dies. It's part of a bundle with Nature's Harvest, and it has these wonderful dies. They do not cut out any of the images from the stamp set, but they coordinate with it. And I've seen some really beautiful things. You cut this out of Whisper White, and then you can color it and sponge it and stuff like that. Works really great. Anyway, so I'm going to apply these with a little bit touches of liquid adhesive. To anchor them down. And of course, you get too much on it. You have to take your finger, kind of smear off some of the excess. You know what? I was not supposed to put this layer on first, and I'm going to pull it off because I need to do some things first. I'll use this as a thing so that, there. Okay, press those down. This is early espresso cardstock that I cut these out of. Staple it. This is one of the reasons why I wasn't supposed to put this layer down. yet. I needed to cut these off at this. Okay, now another reason why is because I need to tie a bow around there using the evening evergreen, and this is the open weave ribbon. It's 3/8 of an inch wide. I'm gonna. Okay, now, like, if you're like me, I have a real challenge tying a bow and having it tight around the layer. Maybe a little bit more. Because after I make my first knot, you have to hang on to that knot, and then it's difficult to make a bow. So what I have learned to do is take a glue dot and put it where I want my bow to be. And then when I make my first knot, come on, I press it into the glue dot, and then it stays put, which for me is marvelous. There. Trim up the bow. Now there's something I want to show you. Comparison between this card and this card. If you notice, the bows, the tails of the bow are going the opposite direction. And that's because with this bow, I took the top loop and made the, after you make the knot, let me show you. Get a ribbon. I'll do it around the block here. Get these out of your way. So on the first one, I made my, okay, on one of them, I made the loop this way and wrapped the top one around, brought the top one down over. Okay, so I made the top, okay, so with this bow, the top came over. Now if I were to do it the opposite direction, and make the loop up here and wrap the bottom one around, the bow ends up that direction. Just a little hint, I just realized that that was the difference between the two. So the tails of the bow will depend on how you, whether you make the loop with the top or the bottom. Okay, back to our card. Okay, now that I have this much done, I can go ahead and put it back onto the card base. See, it would have been very difficult to tie a bow if it was already fastened down. Okay, now it's back down. These are loose, but I'm not too worried about that because I'm going to be putting the label over it. So for the label, this is another trick that I wanted to show you. This greeting is from the Merriest Moments, and it says, thinking of you this festive season. And you could consider Thanksgiving and fall to be a festive season. Actually, any time could be a festive season. But I only want the thinking of you part. And this is a little trick for taking to block out part of a stamp. It works with a variety of them. It works as long as the wording doesn't, some of the letters don't go down into the other part of the stamp. So I'm going to put Scotch tape over the part that I do not want. And I don't want to run a risk of the bottom here doing it. And now I'm going to ink it up. And I'm also going to put the edge of the stamp as near the edge of the words I want, as near to the edge of the ink pad as I can. Okay, that was pretty good. I didn't get much on the, I don't know if that U's well inked. There, that looks good. Now the whole secret to this is you must take the Scotch tape off before you stamp, or you will transfer the ink that was on the Scotch tape onto your paper. And there you go. Thinking of you. Really easy trick to block out part of the things that you don't want to have. So I'm going to I'm going to use these seasonal labels. Scalloped Contour die, sorry about that. And this one fits nicely, except that it is a little bigger than what I want to use on my card. See, it's kind of big for the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut and place this the way I want it. Like that. And yes, it is off center by design. Hold it down with a little bit of painter's tape or washi tape or whatever. And run it through the die cutting machine. Okay, then I'm going to reposition it, and you can kind of feel when it gets into the groove. I'm going to run it through the Big Shot machine, through the die cutting machine again. And it cuts off the extra piece. But it also cuts off these. That's okay. The reason for that is that this die has lines along the side here. But when you cut the end off, there's nothing to hold the sides together. See it? You have cut off that connecting piece. But this is fine. It's a nice shape to a label. And I'm going to pop that up with a couple Stampin' Dimensionals. Since these are loose, I think I'll use more than two dimensionals this time. And place it down, and there you have it. Nice fall thinking of you card. Oh, one more thing. The inside is rather dark for writing, so I have a 4 by 5¼ piece of basic white cardstock to apply on the inside. So that people can read your writing better. There. And there you have it. So this is Sue, the Soggy Stamper. I thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can email me at sue@soggystamper.com. My blog is www.soggystamper.com. And if you need any of the products, I appreciate you going to my store, creationsbysue.stampinup.net, to place your order. This video will be up on YouTube this afternoon, so that those who just got in on it can watch it again. And I thank you. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again next Friday afternoon. Bye-bye.